Case study, good distribution practices, challenges and interventions of pharmaceutical regulation and pharmaceutical wholesaling. The case study depicts actual problems, although the company name has been changed for assessment purposes only. City Pharmaceutical is a medium-sized pharmaceutical distribution company with trading premises along Freedom Way in Lusaka, Zambia. It was founded by two bank executives who saw an opportunity in the pharmaceutical sector. For interested upstart pharmapreneurs, the Zambian law requires a covering pharmacist with a full-time pharmacy technologist in order to conduct businesses in this sector. City Pharmaceuticals upstream supply chain includes sourcing and importation of generic pharmaceuticals from the Indian. The major clients in the downstream supply chain include private.
Okay, sorry. I disturbed you. Yes, continue. You're here.
The major clients in the downstream supply chain include private and public hospitals, non-governmental organizations, private community pharmacies, and partner wholesaling firms. Since its inception, City Pharmaceuticals has strived to carry out ethical business practices throughout its supply and distribution chain. Because the pharmaceutical sector is highly regulated, City Pharmaceutical has had challenges with the pharmaceutical regulator. Though City Pharmaceuticals is not responsible for regulatory episodes in its downstream supply chain, other players in the distribution chain failed to prevent unapproved, illegally imported, stolen, counterfeit, standard, adulterated, and misbranded pharmaceutical products from entering the distribution chain. These products were recently discovered by the regulator from unlicensed dealers at Lusaka's market. Regulatory audits established that these products were imported by City Pharmaceutical, going by legal document issued by Zambian Medicine Regulatory Authority. These documents legally permitted City Pharmaceutical to market and distribute pharmaceutical products after the regulatory evaluated safety, efficacy, and quality of City Pharmaceuticals' entire therapeutic marketing portfolio. City Pharmaceutical was compelled to conduct its own supplier audit, which revealed that products from the source were consistently produced and controlled to the quality standard appropriate to their intended use as enshrined in the Zambian medicine law. This was evidenced by the fact that batches on the original certificates of analysis failed to correspond with what the regulator discovered in the downstream supply chain. Meanwhile, the regulator physically isolated all the affected batches in the distribution system that City Pharmaceuticals reported while was awaited. For the regulator to make a decision, results were from the National Quality Control Laboratory. Based on this, batches were to be released into the distribution chain or likewise imported. Prior to this action, the regulator had issued a public statement in the local announcing the withdrawal and removal of all the affected products from the pharmaceutical distribution chain because of suspected defects in the products. A series of complaints of serious adverse reactions to the product by sections of society and concerns from retail pharmacy customers across the country that the products were counterfeit because these products did not elicit intended therapeutic outcomes. Furthermore, the regulator obtained a representative portion of all affected batches from the entire distribution chain. Based on established appropriate statistical procedure with the view of determining genuine and counterfeit batches, the regulator was compelled to ascertain the totality of the arrangement put in place by the manufacturers who supplied City Pharmaceutical so as to ensure that City Pharmaceuticals import sources of pharmaceutical product met the quality required for therapeutic use in human subjects. In addition, the Zambian regulator sought to audit the appropriate infrastructure that encompassed the organizational structure, procedures, processes, and resources that export manufacturers put in place as a per country of origin medicines law and regulations. The regulators systematic actions were necessary to ensure adequate confidence of products distributed by City Pharmaceutical so as to satisfy given requirements for quality.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so those are the practical challenges in practice. Case studies are important because they give you a clue of how to apply yourself. The fact that they represent the practical realities of practice. So expect a case study in your final exam, which will answer based on the questions as we will see. So this is just an example of a past paper. So let's look at the questions. Okay. So that was Friday, 6th June, 2019. So you already know who wrote this paper, right? It was a continuous assessment examination. It was not deferred. It was deferred to those who didn't write. Some questions were changed. Now, you're not going to split your screens, are you? You can't. Some of you are using your phones, right? So this is a question relating to the case study. That's the title as read. Now you have to look at the question. Who can read the question for us? Lorraine, continue.
I can see the question.
The question one, you can't see question one. Or you can't see it. Oh,
No, it's
sorry.
still the
Oh, sorry, it's me. I thought I've shared already. Okay, thanks. Where is the question now? Okay, this is the one. Sorry. Okay, you can see the face, right?
Yes.
Okay, this is the face. Okay, I was saying it's deferred, but it's not deferred. It was the actual question. All right. Yeah, you are. So read the question for us now.
The following distribution concepts below have been cited in one way or another in the case study, either as measures taken by the regulator or description of inconsistent in the wider distribution chain or as impact on the product quality. You can go a bit up the page. Okay.
Are you able to see?
Yes.
Yes. Read the concepts because that's where question is. Read the concepts.
Quality control, good distribution practice, product recall, quality assurance, good manufacturing practice, quarantine, market authorization, and sampling. Question: as a consultant pharmacist engaged to advise City Pharmaceuticals following the recent challenges with the regulator, A. Carefully identify the above distribution concept from the case study. Give a brief purpose for each concept that you identify. B. Suggest and describe technology improvements that City Pharmaceuticals and its suppliers could have adopted to protect its distribution chain from counterfeit products. C. Briefly suggest and describe the consequences of counterfeit pharmaceutical products on clinical, economical, and credibility of the health delivery system.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so you've seen that this has got nothing to do with you memorizing anything. What you're responding to is the case study. Therefore, all your answers will come from the case study. But if you look at question B, yes, your answers, question B and C, somehow the answers should come from your notes, but in this context, it should come as an application rather than you memorizing. Okay. So now, when we look at the first one, quality control, when we go back to the case study, let me just share the slide. This is your case study. A case study will normally be given to you in advance and show you the questions. The questions will be found in the exam so that you don't waste time. Okay. Now, the case study looks at the supply chain, and the problems are those to do with quality, okay, as well as regulation. It tells us that if we are not careful as businesses, we can answer to challenges. So in this case, you have medicines that have been imported by City Pharmaceuticals legally, but they found their way onto the black market. And when City Pharmaceuticals shows the regulator the certificate of analysis, by the way, somewhere in our notes, we could have mentioned certificate of analysis, but we couldn't have defined what it is. When you are reading, don't let a word or a terminology that you don't understand pass you. You have to know what it is. These days, it's very easy. You can use the Google search. If I may ask, what is a certificate of analysis? Do we have anyone working for Zamra in this class? Sometimes learning is multifaceted. Do we have anyone who works for Zamra in this class? You don't know your colleagues, or they've answered in them. They are failing. You can mention them so that we call them. Are you with me, or is there an internet breakdown now? Hello? Do we have anyone who works for Zamra?
And that works for them.
I don't think so.
Joshua, do you know of anyone? Can you get me?
Yes, sir, we can get you.
Yes,
We're not so
yes,
sure.
sir.
It's so sad. Then you are not so sure. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, a certificate of analysis is when medicines are manufactured, all the batches have to be tested before they are released for distribution, for selling from the manufacturing plant. There's what is called the certificate on sale products because it shows how the tests were conducted, which parameters to be specific, and it is signed by a pharmacist. Okay, to say these goods are safe for distribution. So the case study said when the certificate of analysis were requested by the regulator, the products found on the black market had a different batch from the certificate of analysis. The batch that you see on a product always corresponds to the batch on the certificate of analysis. Okay. Now, where is quality control? Where is quality control as defined by the notes or maybe WHO standards, but mainly our notes? Let me just go to the paragraph. Okay, let me not single out quality control. We have this paragraph that says the regulator was compelled to ascertain the totality of arrangements put in place by the manufacturers who supplied City Pharmaceuticals so as to ensure that City Pharmaceuticals import sources of pharmaceutical products met the required therapeutic use in human subjects. Okay, so there's the totality of arrangements. Okay, there's also appropriate infrastructure. Okay, and then there's also obtaining a representative sample of all batches from the entire distribution chain. Okay, from hindsight, before we even look at that, if you looked at the question, if anyone can remember, what does this relate to? We'll look at that. I'm just isolating things that are related to the question. Okay. Withdrawing products. Yes, Joseph. You can go ahead. You can go ahead. I thought I saw a hand now. You've withdrawn what you wanted to say. Okay, withdrawing a product from the distribution chain. And then producing products consistently to produce consistently produced and controlled to the quality standards appropriate for their intended use as enshrined in the Zambian law. All right. Now let's just go back to the actual question again. So these concepts, the question requires that you identify them in the case study. Where were they enforced? Remember that these concepts are also enshrined in the MAPA Act, the Medicines and Allied Substances Act. That's practically an act that relates to the pharmaceutical supply chain. All right. So these are part of the legislation that is in force in Zambia and many other countries. So the question in short was asking you to identify these as mentioned in the case study. For example, when we look at product recall, right? Remember that somewhere in the case study, if you read, there's where it says removing products from the distribution chain. Okay. There's also producing products consistently to the required standards. That relates to good manufacturing practice. Okay. There's also a totality of arrangements, the physical infrastructure that relates to quality assurance. Okay. Good distribution practice, quality control. These concepts, which we've learned so far, can be found in the case study. Okay, and the question I'm repeating was simply for you to identify them. Okay, as they are. And then the second part of the question, when we look at question A, carefully identify the above distribution concepts from the case study. This is the first part. In my experience, classes that I've handled so far, they are very quick not to read the question, but to start answering. So you find that a question that is phrased in two parts, the other part won't be answered because someone didn't take time, right? So the second part says, give a brief purpose for each concept that you identify. Okay, so having had the few of these concepts in the case study, we can now generically look at each of these concepts, which are part of the law that enforces the supply chain. So what would be the purpose of quality control? In your own understanding, I'm not asking you to go back to the notes and pick something that you might know. Oh, we have 10 minutes. We'll have to take a break in 10 minutes time. So let's start discussing now. Discussions are not about myself. I'm just moderating and ratifying what you are telling me. What is the purpose of quality control? In your own understanding, very briefly, you might find this in your notes, but in this type of question, it's not something that you are going to just speak like that. But this is application now. It's just asking your understanding. How have you understood? Okay. So quality control. We all know what quality control is. It involves sampling, right? And testing. Henry, you have the hand. Go ahead.
Quality control. I think the main purpose is to find out if the contents of the substance are really what are there in the substance that you are supplied.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Any more questions? Okay. Okay, thank you. That's the answer. Now, let's be careful with the choice of words. Don't use the word substance. Right? The case study, the theme of this assessment is about drugs, right? So you have to use words really that apply. That's also part of the assessment. Okay? We are talking about finished pharmaceutical products. Your answer is correct, right? But the only challenge is the choice of words. You would put it like, we want to know, all right, the actual content of the drug substance in a pharmaceutical product. You know, that sounds standards, right? It's not it's not something that will be in your notes, because when you graduate, you are attending an interview, right? The choice of words is what makes you pass the interview. Okay, so when you're asked to use your own words, what I've seen with most students, they are not careful. They are not careful in the sense that they won't pick the words that are related to the discipline. Okay. Correct. The answer is correct, but the choice of words wasn't sufficient enough, okay, to warrant perhaps maybe a 1 mark or whatever mark it was, right? Okay. Again, as we are going now, discussing, since I've given you the template in terms of choice of words, we'll begin to see people now using correct terminology. Now, the fact that the first question I've given my input shouldn't discourage you, any one of you now, to volunteer, okay, to tell me the purpose of good distribution practice in your own understanding. What is good distribution practice in your own understanding? That's what the assessment is all about. I don't want a textbook definition, no. A question that will require a textbook definition will be very clear to you that here I'm just required to pull it as it is. So what's the purpose of good distribution practice? Well, you can get it from your notes if you wish right now. I would be okay with that. But the challenge is in a case study, and the question is also considerate that they haven't prepared to memorize these things, but it's a good time that they can apply themselves. What's the purpose of good distribution practice? We won't move until I have an answer.
Yes, sir. Good distribution practicing, especially as related to the case study, the manufacturer should be able to make a proper selection of products that they need, and also identify the suppliers, including the producers, the manufacturers of the products that they need.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you for trying. All right. Okay, now. Okay, thanks. Okay, so.
Can I try?
Yes, you can try also. Okay.
So I think good distribution practices also the purpose is also to ensure that the medicines are distributed according to the guidelines that are outlined in the good distribution practices, and then that these products are available on time wherever they are needed, so that there is service delivery.
Okay, thank you very much. Failed, you have the hand also. Yes, go ahead. Failed.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, go ahead. I
I
can
think
get
it,
you. We can get you. Go ahead.
okay. It also puts into
Yes.
consideration the fact that to maintain the quality of the pharmaceuticals from the day they are purchased, not until they are dispensed. So it look into consider the storage conditions and how they are transported, so that you maintain the quality from the day you purchase them to the day the patient is going to make use of them.
Correct. So yeah, the two questions are more specific. They are more direct. The first one didn't consider really the words in the concept good distribution practice, right? So you are right in that what we are trying to protect here is the integrity of products during transportation. First of all, the physical factors. If you don't put them in a proper transport system, right? We put them on an open van when the label says to be stored. Okay, the case study gives you a clue. Okay, it's in form of a narration, like the products found their way, right, into Lusaka's largest market. How did they find their way? It can only be due to what? A leakage or a problem in good distribution practice. How can a product find its way on city market? Where, as a consultant, like the case study is identifying you. One of the things is probably your systems are weak. You don't search people when knocking off. Your inventory management is weak. You are the kind of supervisor who doesn't care about a bin card. People cook up information. So this is the kind of application that should come, and these are the kind of answers that you should give, right? We move on. Product recall. This is simple. Just use the correct terminology. What's the purpose of product recall? Can we have an answer? Quickly, we don't have time. Why are we recalling a product that has failed QC, for example, or a product that we suspect to be counterfeit? What's the reason, in your own understanding? We have to move quickly. Remember, we have a number of questions to look at. I won't move until someone gives me an answer.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, we are recalling a product from the market because after it has failed quality control, because we don't want to put the public in danger.
Correct. You have full marks. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
No, we can't even. Yes. Also, Regina. Yes,
For me, sir,
Regina. It's what?
It's a question. It's
Yes.
a question.
Yes. What's the question?
Is there a difference between product recall and product withdrawal?
It's the same thing. but in our parlance, in our terminology, it's product recall. Wherever you go, we call it a recall. All right. Okay. So the first answer is the answer. Yes. There are two more hands.
Let me also give it a try.
Okay. Give yourself tens. Yes. Give it a try. Yes. You are speaking at the same time. It's normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
There might be a lot of reasons as to why a product might be recalled off the market. There are certain products which have been reported to have severe adverse drug reactions on patients. Yes, so such products normally they are always recalled.
Exactly, and the case study testified to that, right? Yes, there was a point when the case study was being read. If you read it again, right?
Yes, sir.
There's somewhere where it says private retail pharmacies were reporting adverse reactions, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so also when you're answering a case study, look within. There are answers within. You can borrow terminology if you wish. And if you borrow it from the context of the case study, you are going to get high marks because you are speaking to the question. Correct. Then the other one, there were two of you. Now one of you. Yes.
Yes, I just wanted to ask a question. So when it comes to recalling of products, are products recalled when they have finally failed the quality control tests, or they can also be recalled on suspicion? So if let's say a product was suspected of not being okay, can it be recalled, or maybe first a test has to be conducted?
No, your question is an excellent one. Yes, we recall products on mere suspicion. We have to recall them. Remember when we looked at the introduction, I told you about thalidomide. The same reasons thalidomide paused is the same reason why we shouldn't take chances. All right, thank you. We move on. What's the purpose of quality assurance?
Can I try? Give it a try.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, I think quality assurance ensure that the products that are manufactured by the suppliers is effective and safe for use.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, you are right.
Yes.
You are right. That's the answer. There was another hand, or is it you?
No, I think it's another hand.
It's another hand. Okay. I didn't get your name. Yes, two participants, Gordon and okay, two participants have raised their hands. Go ahead, give yourself chances. Yes, try. Let's get as many options as possible for each of them. Yes, go ahead. There are two hands that are raised. Just speak, then your friend will speak after you. There were two hands that have been raised. Are you getting me? Am I audible enough?
Yes, we're getting you. I think they just haven't lowered their hands after raising them. They've already contributed earlier in the lesson.
Okay, thanks. Okay. I think the one who was answering good distribution practice in a way, the first contributor, Regina. Regina, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Oh, no, sir, I was lowering it.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so quality assurance. The purpose is that each stage of you know, product handling, quality is being maintained, right? That's quality assurance. So in your case study, it's technically described as, you know, the totality of arrangements from manufacture to the time the patient is taking the medicine. Okay. In all these stages of the supply chain, there has to be quality assurance. Okay. For the details, you have your whole, you know, topic on quality assurance, where you can get as much information as you can. Good manufacturing practice. In the case study, this is the, I hope you are also taking notes, because at the end of the day, someone will say, we want a question paper. I won't give you. I hope you are scribbling as you are seeing it right now. There won't be that opportunity. All right. Good manufacturing practice was identified as producing goods consistently to a required standard. So what's the purpose of good manufacturing practice in your own understanding? Of course, with terminology related to the subject and the case study. What is good manufacturing practice? What's the purpose? I'm not asking for the definition. I'm asking for the purpose. We won't move until you answer. Yes, McLawrence.
All right, so I can as well just give it a try.
Yes.
Since this is a product that has been manufactured, which has to move from manufacturer to the consumer, the purpose of good manufacturing is that it should be able to sustain this period. So it should be in such a way that it should not deteriorate easily, because it may be subject to various stressing factors along the way, temperature and transportation, among others.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, it's related to the answer. So yeah, thank you for the contribution. That, yes, Rhoda.
I think Roida.
Okay.
I think good
Yes.
manufacturing practice, in my own words, can be related to ensuring that manufacturers make the product standard, because it is only the drug that is of standard that is efficacious to the patient.
Correct. That will earn you an answer. Okay. So the degree of preciseness will earn you higher marks. So both contributions are answers, right? So good manufacturing practice. So this is to ensure that products maintain the same standards, products of the same batch maintains the same standards. Standards are very wide. We don't need products to be contaminated. Okay. We don't need products to vary, tablets varying in size, particles in injectables, okay? So to prevent all these, there has to be just one standard. So the keyword actually, when marking this question, will be that word standard, right? Whenever standard is mentioned, in whatever way, it will constitute a mark, because you are speaking to what is being required of you in the question. Any more contribution on good manufacturing practice? Yes, Gordon?
Actually, I have a question.
Yes, what's your question?
Yes, would it be wrong if we relate good manufacturing standards to quality assurance?
No, they are not the same thing. But quality assurance encompasses good manufacturing practice. Remember in your case study, when you get to review, it's the totality of arrangements, right? Actually, quality assurance is an umbrella of all these. Okay. It's an umbrella of all these concepts. It's quality assurance because the definition is it's the totality of arrangements. Okay. Any more contributions on good manufacturing practice? We move on. Quarantine. What's the purpose of quarantine? We are not moving until you answer the question.
Let me give it a try, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Quarantine is just basically the separation, the physical separation of goods from other products. So this can only happen when, let's say, the product has been recalled off the market. So all the products that have been recalled, we quarantine them. We remove them from the shelf, then we put them separately.
Why?
Waiting, distraction.
So the question is why put them separately? What are you trying to avoid?
Dispensing them, of course, if they've been recalled, so you're not allowed to dispense them. So you put them separate.
Exactly. So to avoid, errors, right? Of
Yes,
distributing products that have been recalled. If you put them next to products that are viable, you end up distributing them. So that's the reason why you separate, right? Your notes are clear about that. Okay, Mark Lawrence, you are the hand. You want to contribute also? Yes, Mark
No.
Lawrence. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. But I think whatever I wanted to say has been well elaborated by Robert.
Okay, thanks. Okay, that's the answer. Okay, so you can see that really the way your notes were researched, right? Even this case study, the way it was constructed, it's speaking to your notes. All right. So, in short, what I'm trying to emphasize is everything that we are looking at, these concepts are there in your notes. The only challenge is our system of assessment, perhaps. Okay, because when I look at the assessment types in the UK, for example, it's just a must that for courses like these, right? You need to have case studies because that's where students will get to apply themselves. Okay, not necessarily remembering where did I see that in my notes, no, but application. Okay, so in your notes, the challenge is that quarantine didn't have a heading, and that's what you'd like to do when you go back to your notes. But when you read again, as you are preparing for your assessment, you see, you easily find the word quarantine and all the related aspects. You easily say, okay, these are the ones we looked at in the tutorial. Market authorization. Quickly, won't move. What's the purpose of market authorization? And this was a recurring theme, and we didn't call it market authorization. We were just saying, yes.
Market authorization, this is the registration of a particular drug to be put on market in a given country.
Exactly. And then what's the purpose? Because we're answering part 2 of question A. What's the purpose? Yeah, you've define marketing authorization. Now, can someone give us a purpose? He's told us that this is it relates to the registration of a product in the country. And in our notes, it is re-emphasized that you cannot sell products that are registered, right? So why shouldn't we sell products that are not registered? Who can have an answer, please?
Let me give it a try.
Yes, go ahead.
You know, when a product is registered, it's very easy to track its let me say if it's giving adverse drug reactions. Such products normally there's what we call pharmacovigilance reporting, and once the product is registered, it's very easy for ZAMRA or these other authorities to follow up in case of any adverse drug reaction.
They will follow up to who now? The question is who? The tracing is meant for who?
What it is the consumer.
No, you are right. You are right. You are right. Now I'm saying, who are we trying to trace the product to? Is it the consumer or the supplier?
The supplier, sir.
Yeah, yes, you see, those are the details that you should clarify, right? We want to know who supplied these. Okay, so we want to review, how was the marketing authorization given? Your answer is correct. It will give you 4 marks. Okay. So that's the purpose. The other reason you can cite is this is a way of, you know, eliminating or minimizing counterfeit products on the market. Okay. Because if market authorization is given and it's traced to company A, and company A can't give proper reasons why they imported the counterfeit products, you can deregister that company. You can withdraw the marketing authorization license, right? So you should bring in themes like preventing counterfeit products and explaining in terms of what the second contributor said, right? We want to identify the supplier who supplied for the purposes of, you know, control. The last one, sampling. Hello? Sampling. We won't move until there's a contribution. It's a tutorial. That's what you demanded, right? A tutorial is a student who speaks more than the lecturer. Sampling. Can you get me? Am I offline or is it? Are you able to get me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
What's the purpose of sampling? Sampling products for testing, in short. What's the purpose?
Let me give it a try, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
So normally sampling is always done when they want to test the quality of a particular drug. So there's always that random sampling of the drugs to see if they are meeting the standards that are required.
Exactly. Okay, your choice of words is good. You've used the word standard and you've rightly put it to check if it meets the requirements or standards. That would be an answer, okay? We quickly move on. Now, you were 74 in the first place. You are 64. And the Moodle tells me you are 113 registered or 112. Now, I don't understand how these 64 people will be the ones to understand and answer correctly. And the others who have 10 who have left, and the other ones who've never attended. I don't see how they can effectively answer questions now. Okay? Now, tell me something amongst yourselves. Is it that some of you are a group as I'm delivering? Do we have such like now or previously? Who are in groups? Who are 3 or 2 listening to this lecture? We are all alone.
Yes, sir.
Everyone is alone in his space. You are not
I
sharing
think
a laptop. Huh? Come again? Come again?
maybe some, because most of we are in different places, so I doubt if they can be any sharing the same laptop.
Yeah, those who live in the same town. Okay, fine. I'm just worried that okay, we have 10 minutes to go. Okay, now let's go to question B quickly. Suggest technological improvements. Which technology improvements would you cite here? You are just suggesting, really. Quickly.
Sorry, sir, to take you back here, like on the first one, like question A. Yeah, because like in the first place, like the network was breaking. I didn't get like when you started answering quality control. I joined when you were talking about product recall. So like when you're answering question A, you have to consider all those like quality control up to some point.
Yes, exactly. That's what it says. All these are in the case study. Okay. If you read this preamble there, it's talking about everything here. You are correct. Okay. Which technology improvements can we use to track and prevent counterfeited products? Yes. 2 hands raised. Let's go. Failed. Help us with technology improvements. Which ones are they? Golden. Go ahead.
So sorry, that was earlier when I was answering that question.
Okay.
Yeah, but maybe how about the logistic management information system? Can it be used?
No. These were delivered in the lecture, but they were not delivered in your notes. And the reason is to test if you are able to take notes effectively. So which technology improvements did we learn? So here already I know note taking is a problem because those who took notes will easily identify what this is leading to. Yes. Who can try?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe they can employ the use of barcodes, and also maybe you mentioned the use of I don't know, I don't remember very well the chips that can be, I don't know how they are used, I can't remember very well, but I'm sure you mentioned barcodes and chips that can be used to maybe track
Radio
the product.
frequency identification, RFID.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I
sir.
also mentioned the holograms, right? And I
Yes,
showed
sir.
you a picture of holograms, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's just to test you if you are writing your notes, right? You are not seeing something salient, okay? Correct. That's what was required here. Then the consequences, you've already read the question. What is the clinical consequence of counterfeit products? The economic, as well as the credibility on the healthcare system. Quickly, we have 6 minutes to go. This is in your notes, in your quality assurance notes, the quality assurance topic. What are the consequences of counterfeit pharmaceutical products on clinical, economic, and credibility of the healthcare system? Briefly.
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe to give maybe just an example of a certain pharmaceutical product, we can pick maybe the treatment for HIV, the ARVs.
Yes. So under
Like,
which one are you answering? Clinical, economic, or credibility?
I'll answer the clinical one.
Okay, go ahead.
So now, you are going to notice that if at all you are giving you are giving counterfeit products to patients, then you will have a situation where the clinical outcome is not going to be as expected, because those products will be of low quality and they are not going to attend to the needs of the patient. And also maybe the issues of resistance may come in. And also, yes, the issues of resistance can come in, and that will be a negative to what you are doing as the healthcare system.
You are right. So you've brought out the consequences. Your choice of words is also speaking to the question and the topic and the subject. Okay, so that's correct, because you've answered what the question says, consequences, right? McLawrence, you had an answer. You had the hand, rather.
Yes. So from the economic perspective,
yes.
I feel that it would be also very very costly, in the sense that if, for instance, certain clients to have adverse reactions after having used a certain drugs, those that are very civilized, or those that take matters very personal, they can as well sue the institution. So from that perspective, you might end up losing a lot of resources in the quest of trying to defend the economy, and I mean the company, as well as just protect. Yeah.
Okay, so you've answered correct, but your choice of words, right? Company, country. So it's rather in your question you choose one. If it's the hospital, how it's to incur that unnecessary cost. If it's an individual, but your answer is correct. You are going to earn marks. Okay. How about credibility to the healthcare system? This is all in your notes if you went and checked. Brian, you've raised your hand.
I actually wanted to comment on the economic part.
Okay, let's have your dimension also.
Yeah, so when you have counterfeit pharmaceutical products, in case where there is a recall of that product, you won't be refunded. So it will be a loss on your part as a business.
Correct. Another hand, or you are dropping your hand? Correct. Okay. Peter.
Okay. Brian, I think answered, but partly.
Okay.
Yes, but let me just finish with the other part. Also, there's when a product is registered, there's a fee that is paid to the government through a regulatory authority. But with counterfeits, that fee will not be paid, meaning that even through tax, also the government is also disadvantaged.
Correct. Excellent. All of your answers are excellent, right? And that's what the question requires. Application. There's nowhere in your notes where what the three of you have highlighted, where it is clearly like that. No. You've applied yourself. The choice of words, the relevance of your question, and also answering the actual question. You are showing those consequences, right? Right. Okay, and credibility on the healthcare system.
Yes, on the issue of the credibility. In a case whereby a client or a patient is aware that the medication or a pharmaceutical product that was given to them, it had some counterfeit issues. Definitely that one, they will lose confidence in the healthcare system.
Correct. Okay. Okay, so we have a minute to go. I think